Hello and good evening everyone. I am Sheetal and you're watching Hitbullseye. In today's live session, I am going to discuss the second part of sentence correction, which I did cover up in last week. So if you have to have the fundamentals of sentence correction topic, please refer to that video. I recorded it last Tuesday and this is the continuation of the same. So some of the topics from where you get common error in almost all the entrance exam, some non-CAT exams as well. These are some of those topics. The half I covered up in the last live and the other half I'll be covering up in today's live. So stay tuned, try to listen to everything attentively. Trust me, you will get some useful rules from here which can help you with finding the error in those grammar questions and correcting them. So let's see what we have got here. What are the topics that we have? So the most common errors that you see in almost all these sentences in grammar question in the exam come from these areas. Now though I know grammar is very vast and it's almost impossible, I would say, to cover up each and every topic or to cover up the whole grammar book when you're only left with 4 to 5 months for your CAT exam or your non-CAT exams, the MBA entrance exam. But if you do it smartly, you will get to see that there are certain areas they would give you questions from again and again. So these are some of those areas. The first is subject and verb agreement, which I explained in the last live. Subject of the sentence is something that either performs the action, is the doer of the action, or something is being said about it. Mostly from grammatical point of view, you see nouns, pronouns, gerund and the noun phrases in place of the subject. You just have to make sure after identifying the subject of the sentence that is the number of the subject same as that of the verb. So the verb will be singular if the subject is singular, verb will be plural if the subject is plural. Was the first rule which I did with some examples in the previous live. Next was subject and pronoun agreement. The same rule stands for pronoun also. For a single person, you will be using singular pronouns only, right? So that is subject and pronoun agreement. Now seemingly these are easy topic, but when you get a very lengthy sentence, you sometimes would not be able to find out the subject and then see the pronoun used for the same subject. So the first step will be read the sentence carefully, no matter how lengthy it is. Identify the subject of the sentence, then identify the pronoun used for the same subject and see if they are same in number or not. There you may find your error. Next is misplaced modifier, which I will be covering up in today's live, and parallel construction, redundancy and diction. We'll see all these topics one by one. I will try to clarify all these concepts to you. The first one is misplaced modifier. Let me quickly tell you. So in parts of speech in English, we've got 8 parts of speech: noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverbs, conjunctions, interjection, preposition. So out of all these, if you try to understand this, the most important parts of speech are noun, pronoun, because they do some action, something can be said about those, and the verb of the action, which shows you some action, the verb of the sentence. The rest of the sentences, the rest of the parts of speech, if you see, like adverbs or adjective, what is their role? They are used in a sentence to modify something else, to tell about the quality of something else. Standalone, they don't have a role. So they are there to modify something else, and that is the reason we call them modifiers. So let us see what all modifiers have we got. Modifiers in English sentences. First is adjective, that modify noun or pronoun. The second we've got is adverb. Adverbs modify 3 things. The verbs, which we all know. Adverbs can modify verbs. For example, he was running fast. How was he running? The running was fast, because fast is modifying running. It's an adverb. Second is adjective. Yes, this most of us do not know. Adverbs can modify adjectives also. So, she sings beautifully. Sings is the verb here. Beautifully is used for that singing. So beautifully would be an adverb. So if I say that she is very beautiful, let's say she is very beautiful, in this beautiful is used for she is a pronoun. So beautiful would be an adjective. What if I say she is very beautiful? So the word very stresses upon beautiful, an adjective, so very will be an adverb. Now taking the same example that I was giving you earlier, she sings very beautifully. So here now beautifully is not used for she, it's used for singing. And very, which is modifying an adverb beautifully, very will also be an adverb. So the third thing adverbs can modify are the other adverbs. Adverbs modify these three things. Apart from these two modifiers, we can use an adjective or adverb phrase also. Adjective or adverb phrase, which means there is this whole phrase, not just one word, but whole phrase which is modifying something. So it can be an adjective phrase or an adverb phrase. So these are also known as modifiers. Apart from this, there is one more thing, which is participles. So we've all always been confused about the infinitives, gerunds and participles. These three you can say are from the same branch of grammar. In all the three, infinitives, gerunds and participle, we take the raw form of verb, we add something to it and then we change its role. What do we do in participles? Well, in participles, we add ing to the verb or ed to the verb and it becomes an adjective. Let me give you an example. What if I say we just saw an overloaded truck? Overloaded here, though it seems as if it is the participle form of the verb, but it's not verb. Overloaded truck. Overloaded is used to modify truck. Truck is a noun, it's a thing, it's a vehicle. So here it is used as an adjective, overloaded. Swimming is something I really like. I am going for swimming is a different thing. I am going to do something, an action, which is swimming. But when I say swimming is something I really like, it's a thing that I like. Swimming will be a noun there. So that is gerund. So gerunds and participle are easy, I would say. I hope gerunds and participles are clear. So these are the four things that can be modifiers. Gerunds and infinitive we can cover up some other day. I've already given you one example. Now misplaced means the placing of this modifier word or the modifying phrase is not right. You have to place the modifier with the thing it is modifying. Basically, I'll show this with an example also, and it will become very clear then. Parallel construction. Parallel, just like parallel lines never intersect each other, the distance is always equal. You can say in grammar there are certain grammatical units which go parallel to each other in a way that their grammatical structure will be same. So grammatically their role and structure in the sentence is same. You just have to make sure that they are parallel. We'll learn this with example. Next is redundancy. Redundancy is error of using unnecessary words. For example, if I say, the reason I was late is because it was raining. When I have already said the reason, I am giving the reason. Why do I have to use the other word because? It becomes redundant. If I say it is the most perfect diamond, perfect is itself a superlative word. Why would I write most perfect? Most is redundant. So these are some of the examples of redundancy, and yes, error can be in this part also. Next is diction. Diction is simply using a wrong word in place of some other word, like using proscribe in place of prescribe, right? Using facilitate in place of felicitate. So you use the wrong word which probably sounds almost similar. This is known as error of diction. So we will cover up these areas today, one by one. The first is parallelism. Sentence elements that are alike in function should also be alike in the grammatical construction. These elements should be in the same grammatical form so that they are parallel to each other. Parallelism is applied to some of the areas, like it can be applied to lists, list of items or list of verbs. For example, it can be all the ing form verbs, it can be all the ed form verbs. It can be list of some action also. It can be anything. To the comparisons. So in comparison also you have to maintain parallelism. Alright, so I'll explain all of these with example in the upcoming slide, would be easy for you. It can be used in long phrases also. When it is in words, when the parallelism in words which you've separated using the commas and at that time it's easy, but when you get long phrases it may become tricky. So we'll learn tricks for this also. For long phrases or clauses connected by certain conjunctions or probably semicolons and colons. Now parallelism in list. Look at this example. I like skiing, dancing and to play cricket. Now to play. So this is your example of infinitive, everyone. I have explained you participle. I gave you an example of gerund as well. Infinitive is to plus verbs first form, verbs root form. So this is an example of infinitive. Now you've been using verb in ing form. I like skiing, dancing and how can I suddenly change the grammatical form? Instead of using verb ing, a continuous verb, why did I use the infinitive here? It doesn't sound well, I would say. It creates anomaly in the sentence, grammatical anomaly. So it's compulsory that you keep the structure same. I like skiing, dancing and playing cricket. Now the sentence sounds better. So this is the grammatically correct form. This is how you can find error in list of item. Now let's see error in long phrases or clauses connected by conjunction. The first example, let's see. So in today's class, I will mostly stick to the concept. From next class onward, I'll start a series of practice question. It will consist of everything. We'll do RCs also. We will do questions of sentence correction, para summary, para completion, all types of question. So stay tuned to the channel. He desired to make a lot of money and that he might earn a good reputation. So the right form. How can I now change the form? So he desired. After he desired, you are going to tell those things that he desired. Right, so their structure should be same. So first I used an infinitive, to plus verbs first form. He desired to make a lot of money and it should be and to earn a good reputation. Unnecessarily, I should not be introducing a relative pronoun that here it's not needed. Right? It's already been told that we are going to list item that he desired. So these are those items. They should be parallel to each other. To make good money or reputation and to earn a good reputation. So this is the correct form. The next sentence. To say that all children love their mother is making. What is making? Why verb ing when I have started with an infinitive? To say, I have to keep it consistent. I am not, you can say constricting it to some kind of verb form or tenses. To say that all children love their mother is to make a generalized statement is the right form. I hope it's now clear that how to maintain parallelism in the verbs and tenses. Now parallelism in comparison. Now how do we do comparison? This you would have heard of. The earlier we leave, we will get there earlier, separated by a semicolon. We typically use this structure. The earlier we leave, the earlier we get there. So you just have to separate it using the comma and this is how you're going to use it. This is also counted in the parallelism. Okay, next example. The pickup of Amarjeet's car is better than his car. What is the problem here? You are comparing two things. You are comparing the pickup of two cars. But this sentence sounds as if we are talking of the pickup to the Amarjeet's pickup. Doesn't make sense, right? So what do we do here? The pickup of Amarjeet's car is better than that of his car. That of his car. Now we do not know. Better than that of his car is the right form. We now do not know before writing this that what we were comparing to. Pickup of Amarjeet's car was as if compared to the other car. But we have to say that pickup of the other car. So to bring in that same meaning here, the same connotation, we need to add this relative that. This that is a pronoun used for the noun pickup. Now instead of using the same pickup there, I have used a relative pronoun and it makes complete sense. And the comparison seems to be between the same grammatical things. Alright, with this, let's move on to the next slide. Tenses. Let's see what we have got in tenses. while the tenses in a sentence do not have to be the same, they must relate to each other in a way that makes the sequence of action clear to the reader. So I'm not saying that you have to strictly keep the tense the same. For example, you're using past perfect tense, it should be past perfect only. You cannot suddenly come to simple past tense. That's not true. If the context allows you, you can do this. Otherwise, the tenses will remain same. Let us see how. So keep the tenses consistent within the sentence. Do not change tenses when there is no time change for the action. After understanding the meaning of the whole sentence, just simply think two things are mentioned, two actions are mentioned. Is there a lot of time gap between the two things? For example, something happened 10 years back and then something has happened today. Obviously, it is past tense and present tense. Then you can change the tense. Otherwise, if there is no time change for the action, tense will be same. So incorrect usage. During the movie, John got up and drops his wallet. Now we are talking about one point of time when he's done with the movie and he stands up and he's dropped his wallet. So he got up first of all. So how can you suddenly use a simple present tense? Alright, so got up we know is simple past tense. Drops we know is simple present tense. S and ES is added to verbs only in simple present tense. So we know that both these things happened together, right? He got up and just after that he dropped the wallet. There is no change in the time of the action. So you have to keep it consistent with that. Got up and dropped. Simple past tense, simple past tense. Now there is parallelism in the structure. So this is how you have to answer the tenses questions. Now let us see when can we change the tense of the parts of the sentence. Change tense only when there is a need to do so. Usually the timing of the action within a sentence will dictate when the tenses must change. So you have to rely on the meaning of the sentence. Incorrect usage. He reached out for the sandwich after he ate 2 pieces of pizza. So one action was already complete. Having 2 slices of pizzas was already done. After that he reached for the sandwich. Clearly there is some time gap between these 2 actions. Now we can change the tense. Let's see how. He reached out for the sandwich after he had eaten 2 pieces of pizza. So one thing is clear here. Reached show us that this is simple past. Right. But there was an action which was already complete, which means past perfect tense. Students, perfect itself means, if we say perfect tense, be it in present, past or future, perfect itself means that the action is complete. Either it was complete in the past, it has completed recently, or it will be complete in the future. But perfect means complete. So past perfect means in the past tense, when he was done having 2 pieces of pizza, then he reached out for the sandwich. Though both the things were done in the past only, but one was already done, which is past tense, having 2 pieces of pizza. Then the other thing was done, which is having sandwich. Here you can change from simple past to past perfect. I hope the meaning of this is clear. If there is any doubt about any of these examples that I have covered up, you can put it in the comment box. I can come up with more example. I would like to clarify the concepts because it's important that your basis or the foundation of grammar is strong to answer these questions. And when I'm saying it, trust me, it's not too much. It's just some of the concepts that you need to know about. Now, word pair, for example, not only but also. So pair of words or phrases that must always be used together. The conjunction word that we typically know are and, or, but. Typically we know these. But then there are certain conjunction pair that will always come together. They cannot leave each other. If you have used not only, it's compulsory, mandatory that you use but also in the sentence. Also make sure that when you are saying something after not only means ki na sirf ye, whatever it is, let us write X. So not only Sita, but Harish was also present there. So whatever you are comparing this X to, you should write the Y immediately after but also. You are comparing two things, not only this but also that. So this X and Y, you are comparing these two things. X will come after not only, Y will come immediately after but also. Just make sure that there is this structure and your sentence will be correct. As will be followed by as. She's as beautiful as her mother. More and less is followed by than. When you say something is more or less, obviously you are comparing it to something. To show that comparison, you have to use than. Between and. When you say between, you are going to talk about two things. The two things will definitely be separated by a conjunction and. So that, such or so is followed by that. Just as is followed by so. So just make sure you are using these things and in this format, and your sentence structure will be correct. Now let us see redundancy. Redundancy is a specific error of wordiness, that is the use of excessive or unnecessary words to convey the same thing, that reduces the meaning, deteriorates the meaning of the sentence. Examples of this: we shall combine 3 departments into one. Can anyone tell me what is the error here? Quickly go through these 3 examples and please drop in your answers. Can anyone tell me what is the error here? We shall combine the 3 departments into one. Well, clearly, when you are saying that you are combining something, you combine things into one entity, right? Why do you have to write one? If you are already conveyed that, you have already conveyed that you are combining it, you are going to combine it into one only. So one is redundant. So it can be, we shall combine the 3 departments. This is not needed. The second one, would you please repeat again what you said? When you are already repeating it, which is again saying it, why do you have to say again? This is redundant. The new innovations were startling. When it's already innovations, why do we have to say new? Innovations are anyways new. So new is not required here, it's unnecessary, so it is redundant. Alright, let's do some examples. I would not be including a lot of examples today because that would be a lot for you. We'll come up with more examples probably next or next to next live. So stay tuned if you want to solve some questions on that. Right, so you can see on the screen, there's this first question. I hope you can see the screen clearly. Let me read the question for you. In virtually all types of tissues in every animal species, dioxin induces the production of enzymes that are the organisms trying to metabolize or render harmless the chemical that is irritating it. Go through the sentence on your own. I'll give you 30 seconds. Try to answer this. So you have to answer you have to replace the underlined sentence, part of the sentence. Tell me one alternate that I can use instead of this underlined phrase. The error, if I have to drop in a hint, is in the parallelism. Can you find out the right answer? Yes, Izumi, you've answered it correctly for the redundancy question. Can you answer this question now? Does it not sound a little awkward? Organisms trying to metabolize or render harmless the chemical that is irritating it. So let's understand this whole sentence. In virtually all types of tissue, in every animal species, dioxin induces the production of enzymes. So what is the role of these enzymes? That are the organisms. So why do organisms do this? Why do the organisms have dioxin that induces enzyme? What is the purpose of it? Let us see who's going to answer this one. Okay, Izumi is asking, can we have an analysis of perfect continuous tense sentence? Izumi, you can see my grammar videos. I have explained all the tenses, but if you demand it, we can come up with one live which is exclusively on the tenses, would not be very lengthy, that is my promise, and I am going to clarify all the rules of all the 12 tenses. Right? So we can do that. So to the answer to this one should be fourth one. Let me explain you why. Attempt to metabolize or render harmless the chemical irritant. What did we say here? Production of enzymes that are organisms. You have said organisms, then you've said organism, then you used apostrophe S, which means you're talking about the organism's attempt. Why do dioxin in these organisms, they produce this enzyme? Because it is the organism's attempt to metabolize or render harmless the chemical irritant. So whatever chemical irritant it has in its body, either it want to metabolize it or render it harmless. Right? So here we have maintained all the three structure. These three phrases have been separated using the commas. Their grammatical structure should be the same. So it's the attempt, organism's attempt to metabolize or render harmless the chemical irritant. I hope this one is clear to everyone. Okay, you said D, Izumi. Let's read this one. Organisms attempt to try and metabolize. See, students, when you already say it is an attempt, to try will be redundant. When you attempt something, you definitely try to do something. So, attempt ke baad to try is redundant. By this, we can eliminate this one and this one. Now, trying to metabolize. Why are we making continuous verb unnecessarily? Trying that it metabolizes. You can see here they've already said organism, apostrophe S. So after this you definitely have to talk about what the organisms do, what is their attempt. So the only right answer we are left with is E, which is the appropriate one. Let's see one more example. So let me underline the part which you have to change. So this is the part that has some error. You have to give me an alternate for this part. Let me read the whole sentence for you. Architects and stonemasons, huge palace and temple clusters were built by the Maya without benefit of wheel or animal transport. So this Maya civilization, people or the architect from this civilization, they built huge palace and temple clusters without the usage of any wheel or animal transport. That is an amazing thing. But what is the error in this sentence? To give you an example, this is the example of misplaced modifier. Let us see if you can find out. Where is the modifier? Where should we place it? So here you are calling someone architects and stonemason. Who are we calling architects and stonemason? The Maya people, right? So after the comma, shouldn't you be directly using Maya? Now when I read this, architects and stonemason, huge palace, it's as if it's used for huge palace and temple. But architect and stonemason is used for Maya people. So after the comma, you immediately have to tell why did you use these adjectives? Who did you use these adjectives for? We used it for the Maya people. And you can see it's only this option that features this thing. So now let's read it. Architects and stonemasons, the Maya built huge palace and temple clusters without the benefit of animal transport or wheel. After reading this, you get to know that these two adjectives are used for the Maya people. They were the architects. They were the stonemasons. Rest all other option, if you try to read them, would not make any sense. Right? Let us see what you people have answered. Akshit has said E. Izumi also said E. So So let me just read E also for you guys. Architects and stonemason were the Maya who, without the benefit of wheel or animal transport, built huge palace and temple clusters. Whenever you are doing grammar question, make sure you are going with one option which is crisp, concise and uses minimum punctuations, I would say, and conveys the complete meaning. So be considerate of these three C's: clear, concise and correct. So if there is one option which is crisp and catchy, and it conveys the same meaning, that would be the right answer. Now this one, how many commas have we used here? Not even one. But in this one, architects and stonemason were the Maya who, comma, without the benefits of the wheel or the animal transport, comma, built huge palace and temple clusters. So what is wrong with this one when it is conveying the same thing, that architects and stonemason, the Maya built huge palace and temple cluster without the benefit of animal transport or wheel. So the answer will be appropriate. That answer will be appropriate, which is more short, I would say, and conveys the same meaning without the usage of lot of punctuation, because when you add punctuation, you're adding pauses, and that makes it difficult. I hope you got these two questions. So that was all for today. I'll come up with more examples in the upcoming live, and I am planning on starting a series exclusively for the MBA preparation and the CAT preparation. Well, definitely along the CAT topics, I'll be doing some non-CAT exam topics as well. If you have any preferences, I would say, just let me know it in the comment box, and I'll come up with that video in the next live. So stay tuned to the channel if you want to crack your CAT exam or any other non-CAT exam for that matter. Thank you so much. Keep smiling, keep shining.